the time now.
Yeah.
Give me 30 seconds. Or 10 seconds, actually. 3, 2, 1.
Hello, boy! Welcome to the Atheist Brunch. Atheist TikTokers, it is Sunday morning at 10:30 Central Time, and we are going live, as always, also live on YouTube. Hopefully we get some commenters and some viewers on YouTube. We are going to talk about, and this is an attempt to put tags out there for the algorithm, we're going to talk about atheism, we're going to talk about secularism, we're going to talk about Satanism, we're going to talk about paganism, we're going to talk about Wicca, we're going to talk about godlessness, we're going to talk about, what else, man? Humanism, we're going to talk about religion, we're going to talk about other stuff too. I don't know. We're trying to get some keywords out there because we're trying to figure out how TikTok promotes this thing. And if you say bad words or words that they don't like, they're not going to promote you as much. That's our feeling. So welcome back, all our awesome friends.
Atheist Hub asked if that's a new hat.
This is the conductor hat. If you haven't tuned in right at the beginning, we start out by being the conductor, right? And we tell people to get on the train, and then we switch to the engineer outfit so that we can drive the train. Driving that train high on cocaine. Who loves the Dead, man? I miss the Grateful Dead. I wasn't a Deadhead, but you know, I do love a lot of their music. But that's what that's about, my friend. And thanks to the Hub. He's always right there for us. And follow Atheist Hub if you don't on TikTok. Yeah, it's Sunday morning. We go live with the Atheist Brunch every Sunday at 10:30, and that's 11:30 for you in New York City and on the East Coast. And we had another fun week. The trolls went crazy for the what was the video?
Well, the European one got.
Well, yeah, it was a week ago already. But the why do I care? Yeah, why do I care if people are religious? My dad says this to me all the time. He was a science teacher, you know. He's like, "What do you give a shit if somebody believes or not?" But you know, I'm the kind of guy who wants society to uplift itself. I want people to be smarter and not stupider. I want I think it elevates me and our whole society if people let go of myth and superstition and the ridiculous decisions that arise from their unsustainable belief systems and their faith in magical mythical beings. There was a chick that I came across on TikTok that someone stitched with because it's unbelievably stupid. Our girl, Crazy Cat Lady, non-crazy cat lady, I think made a duet or stitched her video onto this chick who's like casting out, telling people like it's a YouTube how-to video on how to cast out demons. But don't try it if you don't have Jesus, because the demons can tell that you're just faking, you know, and they'll take advantage and like really get in you then, man. So, and this person was like so obviously taking it so incredibly seriously. It's like amazing to me that people can even say that shit with a straight face. She was just like, you know, I cast you out, demons. I cast you out in the name of Jesus Christ, and talking to people about this is how you do it. So, the trolls who got on the why do I care about, you know, if people are religious or not, you know, some of them really got upset that I said that, you know, the more educated you are and the more intelligent you are, the less likely you are to be religious. Like there's no intersection at all. Which is airing itself out. My printer's making noise in the background, so we're trying to keep it nice and quiet here in the studio, so that people can concentrate on my constant blathering about God. But yeah, you know, people get really upset when you challenge their intelligence or their education if they happen to be theists. And I'm like, why? You know, can't you, if you're really that educated and really that intelligent, you can see that you only feel this way because you've been indoctrinated. I think it's a real minority of people who came from atheism or non-belief and like somehow discovered religion and thought it was a really good idea. I just don't. I mean, it happens, but I don't think it happens nearly as much as people who deconvert from their indoctrination when their cog disc gets to the point where they can't take it anymore and they want to get the fuck out. But man, a couple of people went absolutely nuts, you know, telling me to take a stats class and you know, man, you embarrass yourself with the idea that no religious people are educated. Of course, Plenty of religious people are educated, and religion, in fact, for a lot of years was the only place to get educated. I mean, if you went to and still today, if your kid is lucky enough to get chosen for to go to a monastery in a poor third world Buddhist country, he might risk being touched inappropriately by the monks, but at least he's getting an education. And they do. For a long time, the Catholic Church was, those were the people who taught people what there was to know about the modern world. But at some point, there's a divergence there that's unavoidable. And to become further educated, at some point, you have to let go of the God of the gaps. That's my issue with all of that. It's like there's a stopper at the end. You can educate people as much as you want to the core subjects and the humanities and things that we actually know about the world that don't run afoul of their religious beliefs. But at some point, you have to stop learning, and you have to give it up to your God of the gaps if you're going to believe in God, because there's no evidence for God. So if you're going to believe in that, at some point you have to stop educating yourself. And people who insist that there's more kinds of education, like spiritual educations, that's the poetry and bullshit. I just don't buy it. So it cracks me up, and unfortunately I get fallen down some of those rabbit holes sometimes where you want to argue with these turds, and there's no arguing with them, of course. And a lot of them are just humorless, right? If you're going to get on my channel and not realize that I'm a snarky, sarcastic clown who's making fun of things with generalizations and sarcasm and snark, then who needs you around anyway, man? Go back to your book club or your math your mathletes competition, man, because there's just some people out there who just have no humor in them and can't see that I use hyperbole to make a point, just like supposedly the writers of the New Testament did when they told the followers of Jesus that they had to hate their family. That was hyperbole, right? The miracles, not hyperbole, but the stories that they want to say are hyperbole because they don't necessarily jive with the rest of the New Testament message of love and peace and harmony and understanding and tolerance. Those ones were like, oh, that was hyperbole bad. So it's just cherry picking at its finest. Who we got on board, my friend?
All right, we got a bunch of questions. I want to do this now just so I don't forget. If you have a question, please put it in the Q&A box. I should be able to hit the ones that are in the comments now, but once things get rolling, it gets busy really fast. So if you have a question, there should be a question mark that's in a talk bubble, or like a square next to your comments where it says add comments. Click that, add it. We know that there's some limitations on text, but that actually makes it better because it gets people to be more succinct in their questions. So we'll start with what was your hold on. Oh yeah, that works. Okay, sorry. We got TikTok jumped on me for a second. What was your deconstruction like?
My deconstruction was simple. I just was, in the end, I started going away to school and started thinking for myself. It became pretty obvious that the myth arc of Christianity and the long, complicated statements of Christian dogma are unsupportable through the facts, and it doesn't hold up to even a little bit of scrutiny. So I easily came out of Christianity, and they're exposed as hypocrites and frauds right away. If you look at how churches are run, I went to a church for a rock and roll, a presentation of how rock and roll was the devil's work and demonic undertakings if you were a rock and roller. And we were in college, we were freshmen, sophomores in college. We thought that was really funny. So we all went to this local church. It wasn't our church. It was a local Pentecostal church that I'd never been to. And the guy is giving his presentation, and you could just see around you how the poor people at this church were being lied to and bilked out of their money. They're giving their last money to the collection plate, and the preacher had a fancy suit on. And I know I've said it before, but that really opened my eyes to the reality of religion in general. And like I said, I couldn't justify a loving God sending people to hell under any circumstances in my own faith. So it was easy for me to give up Christianity, and I went to kind of a Unitarian deist sort of idea for a minute, and then sort of some spirituality where I figured that there was some kind of divine energy inside us that we could tap if we tried hard. Like a lot of kids do, I think in college, you come up with your own esoteric image of what God means or what it is, and then I quit completely. Within the space of 3 or 4 years, I was done with all that shit. So mine was easy. No one traumatized me. I had a good church life, and I was just, too smart to keep believing that shit.
Okay. Thomas Brady 58 asks, how was the universe created in eyes of atheists?
In eyes of atheists, atheists, unless you're an actual astrophysicist or someone who studies that shit, atheists look to the experts for the answer, and the universe was created through a singularity called the Big Bang. That's basically been proven. So we know that, and we accept it because we know that scientists aren't in it to lie to us. They are in it to follow the evidence and find out the truth, and that's what they've determined. And so that's what atheists. I don't want to say believe, because you don't have to believe science. It's real whether you believe it or not. But we accept it because it's been shown to be true. So really, already we got a guy who wants to know where the universe came from.
Minecraft wants to know, what are your pronouns?
What are my pronouns? Yeah, I'm he. I'm a boy. I've always been a boy. I don't have any issue with transgenderism. I'm a little old, and I know a lot of people my age and older, especially, have a real tough time accepting the new world. But I don't have any problem. And it's confusing sometimes, the whole pronoun thing, and it may be unnecessary, but I don't have an issue with it. But yeah, I'm he, him.
The man with the plan asks, is there any chance that an openly atheist politician could be elected president in the U.S.?
Not president, not right now, but probably fairly soon. Again, if it's a guy or a girl with enough charisma to get the job done, to get elected, then they'll get elected, and people will overlook that. I think politicians put too much stock in the Christian right anymore when those numbers are verifiably in decline. I don't think they need to pander to Christians the way that they do, and even politicians who lean left still pander to Christians. They want to make sure that everybody in America knows that they have some kind of faith, and I don't think that they need to. I think they need to run on the facts, run on the issues, run on their platform, run with real solutions to real problems, and run on their charisma and their personality. And I think that's the way that one will get elected. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, but I do think it'll happen.
That actually reminds me, I don't know if you remember this, but Bernie Sanders, when they had the Democratic leak, one of the people who were trying to basically destroy his campaign suggested using they thought he was atheist, and they were going to try to use that. They suggested maybe using that as a way to like kick him out of the presidential race.
Yeah.
So I mean,
and they're probably right. I feel like Bernie Sanders probably is an atheist. And then we're going to get a bunch of people. He was a Jew and a liberal and a progressive and the devil himself and a communist and blah, blah, blah. Half of the politicians in Washington don't believe in God. They're sucking up to the stupid American public. Period.
Atheist Hub wants to know, favorite atheist TikToker.
My favorite atheist TikToker? I have a few. I love the Bearded Skeptic. I think he's got funny content. I love I Blame Bill. What I want to know is, who is Bill and why does she blame him?
Oh, I know the answer to that.
You do?
Yeah. So she originally was going to do, my memory of it is she was originally going to do a science TikTok channel with her kids. And so her whole thing was going to be I Blame Bill Nye. But then she ended up not doing that. She ended up doing atheist and kept the name.
Oh, all right. I thought maybe she blamed Clinton for something. You know what I mean? It's the only Bill I can go to in mind. It's like, Clinton's still taking shit from people?
Yeah, it's Bill Nye.
Atheist Bill Nye. All right. Yeah. Cool. But yeah, she's one of my favorite. Love Captain Deadpool. He's so knowledgeable about the Bible, and he's so willing to go toe to toe with believers with actual knowledge that blows my own away. So yeah, those are a few of my favorites. I love Black Atheist Rants too. You got to follow that guy if you don't follow him. He's absolutely hilarious, man. There's a lot. Apostate Aladdin, I think, is important. One of the only ex-Muslims on TikTok who makes a lot of sense debunking a religion that, you know, the adherents really try to pretend that Muhammad was a really good guy and a great guy and the best guy ever, and that Islam is so smart and so ahead of its time and so scientific and so peaceful. And meanwhile, you know, they're blowing up, you know, killing other cultures and genociding on Yazidis and blowing up statues on hillsides of Buddha because it's not, you know, Islam. You know, so I think we need more ex-Muslims out there doing what he does. You know, so I got a few favorite atheist TikTokers. Atheist Animated too, man. That guy's awesome, man. Go check out Atheist Animated, of course, producer Jay's channel. Who's here in the studio again with me after it was Mother's Day last week, right?
Yeah, Mother's Day is last weekend, Sunday. So these don't go in order, so we're gonna do the best we can to kind of stay in order. Oh, we did this one too. Okay. Did you grow up religious?
Yeah, I went to a congregational church in New England. It was very liberal in terms of its theology. You know, no one hammered us with biblical literalism, and questioning and skepticism was welcome, and that's part of how I was able to get out of it fast. You know, but yeah, my family was we went to church every damn Sunday, much more than a lot of the kids in town who were, you know, we didn't have to.
Atheist Hub just reminded us, or remind the viewers, that if you tap the screen, it gives us likes, which tells TikTok to share it with more people. So if you tap the screen, we appreciate it.
That's awesome. Yeah, tap. I didn't realize that. I don't know much about TikTok and the algorithms and how they work, so we're trying to figure it out. So we appreciate that, Hub, and we appreciate all the gifts and the follows and the likes that we get. So here's to our fans and our followers. We really appreciate it, and it's gratifying, and we couldn't do it without you.
Here's the one from Thomas Brady 58. Could there be a God not loving or all good?
Yeah, there could be. You know, there could also be a giant terraforming alien on the other side of the universe that we can't see, that's so big that our universe to him is a terrarium.
You answered that faster than
It seemed like a stopping point, you know. But
yeah,
when I was young, my uncle had that. He's like, you know what, our whole universe might be a speck of dust in someone else's universe. And that opened my eyes too, you know. And he was a guy who I'm pretty sure believed in God, but you know, at some point you have to get perspective on things, and we might be a germ on the back of an animal in a terrarium, and you know, in a whole nother incredibly giant universe.
Keisha Hendricks 80 asked, did your family accept you, I assume, when you became atheist?
Yeah. I think my dad's pretty agnostic anyway. And he grew up, you know, when we were growing up, he was right on board with the family plan to go to church. But, you know, he for sure didn't give a shit, you know. And, you know, my mom was bummed out, but she's a loving person. She's not the kind of person that would disown me. And that disgusts me when families disown their kids for giving up religion. How small-minded and shitty do you have to be to disown your kid or shun him or not talk to her anymore simply because they're using the brain that God gave you, you know, to question what is obviously eminently questionable. That disgusts me, and those people should be taken out and beaten behind the woodshed with logs.
So there's two questions that are, I believe they overlap. It is, the question is, what is nothing? I guess is the first one.
Yeah, what is nothing? That's a good question. If you're like a quantum mechanic, and you're studying how particles pop into existence from nothing or seemingly defy the laws of Newtonian and Einsteinian physics, both, you start to realize that nothing it doesn't really exist the way that we could traditionally thought of it as existing, in the way that believers use it to say, in an incredibly fallacious way, that something can't come from nothing. Well, we kind of know that it can, and because we don't understand the details of that, again, is just, you know, to give that up to God is just an intellectual cop out that I'm not willing to do, you know. And most scientists who are in those fields aren't willing to do it either. So they keep on looking. They keep on looking for evidence. They do experiments. They test what they've already found, and they try to figure it out. So you know, look up what's the cat's name? Sean Carroll Look up his YouTube address that explains that, and look into it, man. You'll figure out if you can get your head around what they're talking about, because that's some complicated shit, man. But it's all real. It's evidence based and empirical data, time tested over and over. These theories are. So yeah, that's above my pay grade, my friend.
Which is actually like the rolling question. The second question was how could, from a different person, was how could something come from nothing? Oops.
Yeah. If I could answer that, I wouldn't be a plant guy. I'd be, I'd be a cosmologist, or I'd be an astrophysicist. But it's amazingly interesting when you hear somebody who knows what they're talking about talk about what they're studying. They understand.
But that also comes from a misunderstanding of what the Big Bang is. The Big Bang doesn't say it came from nothing. It says there's a singularity, which is something.
Right.
So,
right.
So it's an argument that comes up a lot, but actually makes no sense with the Big Bang, because that's not what the Big Bang says at all.
Right.
Why do top apologists deny evolution?
I don't know, because I think that they want to pretend that the Bible is the real word of God from page 1 to the end of Revelation. And if you believe evolution, then you have to accept Genesis as metaphor, which is not, to me, particularly difficult. I don't know why that takes anything away from their faith. I don't get that, but I think it's biblical literalists who deny evolution. But they want to feel like God created us as being special, and if we're just an evolved animal, we're not special. We're just another species on the planet. And for some reason that offends them. I think it actually makes us smarter than to know that we're just part of nature, and we just came from a common ancestor, which came from simpler life forms over billions of years. I don't, to not be able to understand how that works, to me shows a profound lack of intelligence. I don't get it when people say that, but when they try to make fun of you for believing in evolution, it's really like the monkeys laughing at you from inside their cage at the zoo, because they don't get that they're the ones in the cage. They see the bars and they see you behind the bars, and they're laughing at you. That's what I feel like when fundies pretend that you're stupid to believe what has basically been verified.
I'm going to hit this comment. It says, from Secular Mormonite, why does inserting a prime mover to stop infinite regress intellectually satisfying? Not for me. So I thought that was an interesting comment.
Yeah,
I don't
for
know why
sure.
they do that. We have, if you didn't live in the U.S., where would you live?
I would travel all around. I would see as much of the world as I could. I wouldn't want to stay in one place if I could do anything, if I was a designer. But yeah, I would start with Northern Europe and Scandinavia, and I would want to see India. I would want to see a lot of Africa. I'd want to see Australia. There's a lot of places I would love to live, for sure.
What is your favorite book?
My favorite book? Wow. That's one that doesn't come up. My favorite book. My favorite book that I've read recently, I'm more into nonfiction. I don't read a lot, honestly. That's not time to. But I think probably Lord of the Rings, growing up, the trilogy, affected me as a 12-year-old when I read that in a way that I'll never forget. I feel like that the descriptive nature of the prose is unparalleled in literature. It was delicious to me. So I guess I have to put that up there. For nonfiction, I like Guns, Germs, and Steel. I think everybody should read that book.
Just a reminder, if you have a question, to put it in the question box. We got, I think, some new people in. The question box is next to the comment section. If you look at where it says add comment, to the right should be a little question mark with the square box that looks like a speech bubble. If you don't see that, you might have to follow us to get that to work. I haven't confirmed that, but that's what my understanding is. Thomas Brady 58 has another question. How do morals come if not from God?
Morals come from our shared sense of empathy. We understand that we don't want someone to hurt us, and so why would we hurt someone else? It's another one. I don't get why people have such a hard time dealing with that idea. We have complicated brains that have evolved, and we can see the evolution of our empathy over the last recorded millennia. We don't behead people in public anymore. We don't use guillotines. We don't hang people in the public square anymore. We don't. I guess we do torture people here and there, the army, but that's a different issue. But yeah, we treat each other in general in a much better way than we used to. We allow women to vote. We don't hold slaves anymore. As society gets more advanced and educated, we typically have evolved a higher sense of empathy. Now we're getting to the point where we empathize with animals on a level that we didn't used to. And that again, it comes from the way we used to treat animals, or the way we still treat animals, comes from the biblical idea that we have dominion over all the things that crawl or fly on the earth, and we can do what we want with them because we were put here special by God to do what we wanted with them. And I think that more and more people understand that that's just not true. And you can see, you can see the emotions that animals have, and you can see how they have empathy for each other too. And they have feelings, and it's not right to just hurt them because you think you can. So someone's got to show me a God that has morality yet in the story of him. There's no morality in sending a person to hell for using their brain. There's no morality in the God of the Bible. There's no morality in the Old Testament whatsoever. God is a jealous, vengeful, vicious God, and he allows destruction and chaos and murder and suicide and rape and if, on an industrial scale. He allows cancer in children. He allows and 150 years ago, 200 years ago, he allowed 5 out of 7 of your children to die before they reached the age of 5. But now he's allowing most of them to live. Why does he love us better now than he did then? There's no morality there, and there's no morality in being able to be forgiven for your sins simply by asking for forgiveness and salvation through Christ. If you can do anything you want and still go to heaven by asking for forgiveness, how does that create a better person? That creates people who are willing to do evil and then just ask for forgiveness. So the whole idea that morality might come from a God is stupid beyond comprehension to me.
Do you think scientists are smart if they believe in God?
I don't think they're
Or smarter? No, wait.
Smarter?
No. Do you think scientists are smart if they believe in God?
To a point, yeah. I mean, there's plenty of scientific geniuses who can't get over their own indoctrination either. Indoctrination is an incredibly powerful thing, and so is personal tragedy, and so is depression, and so is a million other mental illnesses that might lead one to believe in God despite their logical and scientific training. So there's plenty of. I don't want to hear the trolls come at me with, scientists aren't stupid because they believe in God, because there's plenty of smart people who have an irrational belief in God. In the end, I don't think the best scientists believe in God, and I don't think that a scientist who continues to search for the truth and search for answers would ever believe in a God, because a God is, you may as well just say, I'm going to stop being a scientist now because I don't want to know the answer. I'm going to just pretend that an imaginary magical being is the answer to the things that I haven't figured out yet. So at some point, no, I think that scientists who believe in God are lacking, and not that they're not smart. They're just not as smart as they could be. So it's a fine line there. But yeah, I have trouble with that. And I think it shows because modern scientists who have access to knowledge that people like Newton and Galileo don't believe in God. And I think, 7% maybe of scientists, and that's still too high, and those are people who count themselves as scientists, even though they have a pharmaceutical degree and they're researching new medicines, which is great. And it takes, a smart mind to do that. But to me, that's not like cutting edge science in terms of discovery of the real answers to the origins of things.
We were talking earlier about this. I think a lot of them scientists too will say they believe in God just because they're, some geologist isn't really that worried about it. He's going to work. He just says it just out of,
Right.
you know,
Right.
out of social norms.
Right. Right.
Basically.
Exactly. Social norms, cultural conditioning, and indoctrination.
Well, that actually works perfectly with Atheist Hub's question. Will atheists ever be a majority in the U.S.?
Not in our lifetime. Not people who actually call themselves atheists. That's the big one. There's people who are non-religious or agnostic or the meh people, and the non-religious people are approaching that. We're getting there, and a lot of those people just have sort of a lapsed belief in God, and they don't really think about it that much. But again, when education, gets us to the point where more and more people are meh about it, eventually the whole thing will fade, and it'll be a non-issue. Even if you approach someone and bring it up directly, they're hesitant to say no. There's no God. It'll not be a thing anymore, and that's what we need. That's where we all started, right? As atheists when we were born. It takes an introduction to the concept for anyone in modern day to be a theist.
Violent Pixie asks, do you have any degrees? If so, what are they?
Violet Pixie or violent?
Violent.
Ooh, Violence Pixie. Ooh. Like that weird Will Smith movie, right? Where the pixies were like evil and they flew around and had to smack them with bats. It was on Netflix a couple of years ago. It was weird. I tried to watch it and didn't quite get through it.
Yeah, I should know the name.
Yeah.
It's something with a B.
Yeah.
Bright.
Yes, I do. I have a BA in theater.
We have. What do you think of Richard Dawkins?
He's old and he needs to shut his mouth at this point. But he did a lot for atheism in the original atheist revolution, if you will, the atheist movement of 20 years ago or so. In his book, The God Delusion is necessary reading for people on the fence, probably. Great biologist, great mind, a little bit of a fuddy-duddy in terms of how he accepts social progressiveness, I guess. But other than that, I don't have any real strong feelings. I'm not a hater. I don't be like, Richard Dawkins, take away his humanitarian award. And it's like, he's fucking old, man. He's not going to get the transgender thing. So just get over it, I guess.
The Man with the Plan asks, why do you think, this is one of our popular videos. Why do you think Europe became more secular than the U.S.?
Yeah, I watched the European video. And a lot of the commenters from Europe were just because they lived through the real horrors of the wars. World War I and World War II made it pretty obvious to Europeans that there was no God out there helping anybody out. And there was mass slaughter and destruction and chaos. And also religious wars. I mean, they suffered through how many hundreds of years of religious wars, and Protestants fighting Catholics, and Catholics in Ireland blowing up Protestants in Northern Ireland to try to get, so it's just like, a lot of that. But I also think that they're just better educated. I think that the American education system has let kids down big time, and I don't think people care. I think that we're just trying to get people to read on a basic level and churn them out so they can work in a factory. Whereas fundamentalist religion hasn't taken a hold the way it has here in Europe, and people tend to not deny science. Even if they're God believers in Europe, it's not on the front of their, in the front of their minds all the time. And they don't deny science, they accept science. And they accept. Have you ever been to Germany and seen like the infrastructure and the trains and the steps? Like they have the best of everything. And we have shit crumbling here, but people would rather, devote their time to the next world that we have no verification exists than they would to improving our lives and the lives of our neighbors right here in America, which is what Jesus would do, right? If he was around, he would spend his time ministering to others and not, ignoring ignoring nature and ignoring the planet because we don't need it anymore because we're all going to go to heaven soon. Give me a break. There's a million reasons that Europe is not as fundamental, I think. But again, as the million commenters on that video pointed out, there's still a lot of God belief in Europe. It's just deeply ingrained in Western culture to be Christian. 2,000 years of it now.
Lots of people who say they can hear God.
They need help from a doctor. you know, if that's called schizophrenia, I think, when you hear voices in your head, and you're paranoid, you know, either that or it's just, you know, people who are have that poetic romantic nature and they want to spin, they want God to be real so bad that they'll talk about ways that they hear God. Whereas if there was any, you know, verifiable way to document that God speaks to people, we'd all believe, we'd all know, you know. But you know, anecdotal evidence for God because you think you hear God, you know, you're either got you need to see a shrink, my friend, if you hear the voice of God, you know. I mean, the voice of God is told the son of Sam to kill people, right? That was part of what went on there, right? I mean, that's dangerous. Hearing voices, it's, you know, you need help.
This is an interesting comment. Spitz farts. EB
Spitz farts
says,
one for Spitz farts. I love that.
Says, hey, just got off the phone with my dad, Dan Barker, co-founder of FFRF. He said to tell you hello.
Your dad?
I didn't know that Dan Barker. I guess I don't know that much about Dan Barker.
Yeah, I actually didn't. I don't think he has kids, but I guess I could be wrong. Yeah, Dan's a friend of mine. I know Dan, and we're not very far from there. It's easy for us to get to Madison and interact with our headquarters there because we are a chapter of FFRF here. And Dan Barker is an incredibly talented individual. The guy can break down any song instantly on piano, and I mean instantly, and then fill it up. It's real talent when you see him get at the keyboards. Besides being really articulate about his ex-faith, he used to be a minister and a Native American. He's still a Native American. He didn't used to be, when he talks about you know, the silliness of Christian dogma, he makes real sense, you know, from the perspective of a guy who used to be a believer and who used to be a preacher.
Spitzfart says he has 5 kids.
Does he?
I'm going to do a couple questions from the comments, but if you have questions, please put them in the question box, which is next to the comment section. It's the question mark that looks like a talk bubble. So this question is, can you even help people who believe the rapture is going to happen soon?
Can you help them?
Yes.
Yeah, help them do what? I mean,
I think get over. I don't think I don't think an individual could do that because it's sort of built in. Because if you're trying to convince them it is, and you're working through the devil. You know what I mean? Like this is built in.
Yeah, I don't think you can. We don't try. I mean, those people who are already there, it's like we're not getting at those people. If that's what you believe, just stay off of the channel. Just stay off of my comment section with your bullshit trying to convince me because it's stupid. Have you ever read Revelation? If Revelation actually happened the way that it's written in the Bible, it would be like being in a psychedelic drug trip of a movie. It's just it's so detached from reality that to believe it is the height of idiocy. And if you do, you know, I'm sorry for you. The whole rapture thing. I mean, and again, people have been talking that shit for 2,000 years. It's not going to happen.
I actually wanted to say, I forgot at the time, is if people are interested, we do have a video with Dan Barker in it on our YouTube channel. So.
Yeah, look through the YouTube channel. We went to. It was pretty funny, I thought. Some of the stuff we talked about with him and Andrew Seidel, who wrote The Founding Myth. Read Andrew Seidel's book, The Founding Myth, on why Christian nationalism is un-American and un-Christian. Incredibly articulate guy, great lawyer, great constitutional lawyer. And a young and rising star in atheism today.
Who's your favorite philosopher?
I'm not a philosophy guy. You know, I don't have a favorite philosopher at all. I think that's Hitchens would be my favorite philosopher, I guess.
Violent Pixie wants to know, same username for YouTube?
Yeah, same username for everything. We're on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and now Discord. Set ourselves up a Discord. So if anyone knows how to use Discord or wants to use it, reach out. You know, send us a comment, and we can figure out how to get that started because we want to ramp up our efforts on all of the social media.
I should mention on that too with the YouTube channel. Please subscribe, because when we get to 1,000, we can actually get our own domain. Where like right now, you have to search for Atheist Underground.
Yeah.
So please subscribe so that we can actually grab that.
Well, that's another benefit. I didn't really know that.
Yeah,
And we
so
can also go live from our phones, which means we can do stuff on the street.
Okay. What do you say to people who say Jesus is coming?
I say, as Linksy Fox reminded me, I tell him to do it into a sock so he doesn't make a mess.
Should one read the Bible if they don't believe?
What?
Question. Should atheists read the Bible?
Yeah, if you want to educate yourself to a billion pop culture references, why not? I mean, it's one of my regrets is that I raised my kids without religion, and so they don't even get like half of the references that we have in pop culture that come from the Bible. And there's nothing wrong with that. The King James version especially has given us catchphrases and is a brilliant piece of English language writing. Back when people could actually write in English and and form a nice descriptive flowery sentence. It's a beautiful piece of literature, the KJV. So I think at some point everybody should read the Bible. If some of it's hard. It's like those chapters in Moby Dick where he just talks about the whaling industry and it's boring as fuck. So there's a lot of dry shit there, but I think everybody should read all historic sacred texts just to know what's in them, just to be informed.
I wanted to thank a few people I missed. I think it was Queer as Fluck sent this.
Queer as Fluck.
And Ginger Snorlax, which we've seen you around.
Yeah, Ginger Snorlax. Yeah, I don't know what's a Snorlax.
It's a Pokemon.
Oh, not a Pokemon guy. It's came around a little after my time, I think.
You're not trying to catch them all?
Not trying to catch them all.
What other platforms are you on? That's a good question.
Yeah, like I said, we're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. What else? Discord, Spotify, iTunes. Yeah, you can find the podcasts on iTunes and Spotify. And someone asked him, what's the other one with an S? Spotify, not Spotify. It's Stitcher. So we said they can only. I think we are.
Okay.
If like whatever we go through Libsyn and whatever was the options up there. There's like a whole iHeartRadio. There's like a whole bunch of.
Any resources for people deconstruction?
Read God Is Not Great by Hitchens. People, if you're deconstructing right now, we got Ginger the Faithless Healer, Bart, people coming in right now. Dos hojas. I'll go hand those to him.
Sure.
Yeah, the studio here is in the back of our landscaping business, where people come and go sometimes during the day. So yeah, interrupted again, going live, and you deal with that sometimes, right? That's kind of live TV for you, right? You got to kind of go with the flow there.
Here's a hard one. Thoughts on Palestine and Israel?
I haven't looked at the news in the last couple of days to see what's actually flared up again, right? Something's going on. It's ugly. And Palestinians got fucked. You know what? I'm not a hater of Jewish people like some of these people are, but I do think that Palestine needs to get some love. I think Palestinians got hosed large, and I'm not into the way that the Israeli government seems to press their rights in kind of an unsavory way. I think that's mostly political, not terribly religious, really. Yeah, I would support, Palestinian rights, and we did it for Israel after the Holocaust. We did it for those people. Why can't we help out Palestine with a sliver of fucking desert? I don't get that. I'm not a Zionist. I get accused of that all the time somehow. I think because I refuse to shit talk Jews, but I love everybody, man. And right now, it looks like the Palestinians are getting fucked.
Apologize, we've been kind of ignoring the YouTube channel, so I'm gonna go over there and read some comments.
Yeah, and I'm not. So again, they're not up. I don't know why I don't have any comments.
So we had right or wrong. Wanted to say, big fan, love the view of the world raising a little. I don't know if I don't remember that. Here. Oh, and then we got our Russian friend Hamlet, which I can't read.
Yeah, thanks, dude. Sorry, man. Those Vidania. Russian, I don't speak. I speak some languages, not Russian. I wish I spoke some Russian, but there's a guy on YouTube who's a big fan, and he puts paragraphs in Russian. And if I had unlimited time in my day, I'd probably translate them more. But we appreciate you, buddy.
He has a question. How do you feel about Putin's imperial policy?
Putin's a turd, man. What a piece of shit that guy is. I don't really know what his imperial policy is, but again, Putin took advantage of the power vacuum. I guess it's too bad that the Soviet Union couldn't have dissolved into Russia and a bunch of other stable, social democracies, or whatever they prefer. But now you have an authoritarian strongman, right? And forgive me if you're a Putin fan and I'm wrong about that. He's really a great guy, but I think the Russian people need to step up and get rid of the Putster.
I don't know much about him, but he has to be a great PR guy, because I hear a lot of Russians, at least according to people I've heard, actually say they love him, but I don't know if they're just saying that.
Yeah, well, a lot of people love Trump. I mean, I think nationalists love someone who promotes their nationalism. So if Putin appears to be putting homophobic white Russian nationalists first, then all of those people are going to be for Putin. So the rest of us can, the rest of his neighbors at least, can get fucked. As far as those people are concerned. So
he does say, he said, for example, I admire Putin and consider him a hero. Thank you. But
you do? All right, maybe you can explain that.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Sorry, maybe we lost a fan there by slamming Putin, but the fact that they interfered in U.S. elections pretty much is proven at this point. I don't think anybody reasonable denies the fact that they tried to and successfully, have hackers all the time working on breaking into and influencing our political system. So, can't be a Putin fan at this point. Sorry.
What's up with God using a bear to assume they put ... 40 kids? I'm not sure if you're familiar with that story.
Yeah, that's and I'm not. I should go back and look at that one again.
The kids were making fun of someone or something like that. I don't know. But I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, was it Elijah? Maybe somebody can give us a Bible verse to go to and read it. But again, it's just another ridiculous example of the vengeful God of the Old Testament, who is not in line with the loving God of the New Testament. And where's the morality there? Again, he's killing kids with a bear, and it just seems like a funny story that's out of line.
Yeah,
like bears are such a. I'm not sure I knew that bears were such a common thing in Judea.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I didn't even think about
like
that.
Desert bears,
Well, I'm curious too. Did the bears kill a bunch of kids and they made the story, or because why choose a bear? That's a good question.
Right? It's
why
just
do this thing and strike the dead.
Right? Or use like a local animal like jackals, or camels.
Make it real painful and have locusts.
Yeah. No, people bring that one up all the time because it's just so odd, the bear story.
Yeah.
But when people want to talk about how immoral the God of the Bible is, that's when it comes up right away.
This one I think been sitting for a while. How do we get Jesus out of our government?
As far as I know, he's not. Jesus isn't in the government. He was disqualified for running because he wasn't born in America. But no, I kid. I know what you mean. We need to vote for people who aren't Christian nationalists and who aren't evangelicals. Imagine voting for Mike Pence for president. He denies evolution. How do you vote for a guy like that? So, you need to question politicians on what their belief is, and if they are going to run the country based on evidence and data and facts and use experts, or are they going to pray to God and make a decision that way? And we need more politicians to come out as atheists, and we need more atheists to run for high office. Sooner or later, the curve will get over the top, and we'll start having more representation in our secular government that doesn't really exist the way it should. So yeah, I mean, you need to vote if you're not in favor of Christian theocracy and Christian nationalism, and if you're disgusted by Christian privilege and Christian exceptionalism in this country to the detriment of every other demographic, then you need to vote. You can't stay at home going and be apathetic, or my vote doesn't count. You need to get out and vote because we outnumber Christian evangelicals if we all get out and vote. The fact is that every one of those sons of bitches gets out and votes, and that's how they're able to get these people elected. Everybody in the county came out and voted for Marjorie Taylor Greene, so she got elected to Congress, if you can imagine that. What a worldwide embarrassment that is, that we even have a politician who's that insane. The only way I can put it.
Any family and friends don't like that you're atheist? Question mark.
Yeah, this cat that I work with who just came in and interrupted us doesn't like that I'm an atheist, and he doesn't give me crap about it, but he just doesn't understand it, and it makes him annoyed that I would spend time being an activist. It's Sunday morning, and he's in here doing work because he doesn't want to be at home, and I am doing atheism on a video stream live to our viewers, and he'll kind of roll his eyes and kind of shake his head and walk away. He won't actively give me shit about it, but I make the point that if this was church, if I couldn't be available on Sunday morning because I had church to go to, he wouldn't say a thing. That would be absolutely respectable and accepted, and that is what we're fighting in America. It's just a prejudice. It's just a bigoted attitude towards secular people, that our efforts aren't worthy, and church is somehow to be respected no matter what kind of church it is or what that church engages in terms of policy or rhetoric. The atheism and the secularism that we deal with in our lives is somehow not, it doesn't measure up to the standing of church in our society, which is respected out of hand, whether it deserves that respect or not. Other than that, yeah, I mean, there's people, I run into people who I know won't use me in business because they know I'm an atheist. But as far as any real suffering or real issues or any attacks or anything like that, no, we're fairly lucky to be where we are, do what we do. That people, again, most people are cool to you when they meet you, and I think that that's true of humanity in general. Even if they're spewing rhetoric that they're not really thinking about and that's prejudicial or wrong or ugly or hateful, when you have interactions one-on-one with most people, they become a person, they become a neighbor, they become a friend, they become someone who is dealing with the same riots in the same town that you are, and they have the same sense of why does this have to happen that you do. So I think human beings have so much more common ground than we have differences. And I'm an optimist, but I think that that's part of the problem, is that this whole identity politics that goes along with the evangelical right makes people say that they think things and vote and act in ways that are contrary to their actual nature. And if they were confronted with a friend who was an atheist or a transgender person, they'd probably feel and act differently. But the danger is in that mob mentality, that groupthink that makes people act as one and move like a school of fish in a direction that changes policy and affects the rest of us, so that we all end up having to deal with legislation that none of us really wanted or agree with.
Sorry, I'm going to use this time to
That's right.
Remind people, if you have a question, put it in the question box, just because we have a lot of new people coming in. There's a question box next to your comments. What you need to do is click on that and make your question really short. We have some in the question box right now, but I just want to put that out there for those who are trying to ask questions.
A little dialogue bubble down at the bottom of the screen. You can hit it, and then your question will be recorded there instead of just scrolling by. It's very hard to keep up with the comments and the people who join and other things as it's scrolling by Jay's trying to read, and then all of a sudden they're gone. So I know what it's like when I go live myself and I'm looking at the phone. It's really, really hard to keep up with them. So use that dialogue bubble. And remember to go to Cafe Press and get your What's Missing t-shirt. Atheist Underground gear on cafepress.com.
I like this name. Elijah Wood.
Elijah Wood, if you could.
Thoughts on Satanism?
Love Satanism, man. I love Satanism. Love what they've been able to do. Are we talking about, Church of Satan? Are we talking about TNT? Are we talking about Luciferianism? You got to be a little more specific. But the splash that Lucian Greaves has been able to make with the Satanic Temple in terms of shoving it up Christian fundies' asses and pointing out the hypocrisy of allowing Christian iconry and statues, etc., in public buildings by insisting that Satanism gets their own, and by being able to get to the point where Satanism is recognized as a religion that can then press its own rights under any freedom of religion kind of legislation that gets pushed, has been genius. It's just atheism with a bit, I like to say. Captain Dadpool calls it spicy atheism, which is funny, because it kind of is. But I love what they've been able to do for basically atheists who use satanic imagery and a humanist philosophy and a hedonist philosophy. They don't really believe that Satan is real. Most of them, again, people will point out that some do. There are, cults of Lucifer out there who call themselves Satanists, who actually worship the devil, like that was any more reasonable than worshiping God. But Satanists, I think the Church of Satan hates the Satanic Temple. I think part of that is just they're jealous of how much, how many, the kind of legs that movement has. Whereas the Church of Satan kind of, it's kind of a culty background thing that's sort of lost its momentum. But I feel like they think that the Satanic Temple stole Anton LaVey's philosophy and are using it for to play the victim. When Satanists are victims, the Church of Satan people are like, we don't see ourselves as victims, and we hate the victim mentality. And Church of Satan also, taken over by white supremacists in a lot of cases where, skinheads and so forth have kind of adopted Satanism as a thing. And that's not the Church of Satan's fault, but I think it's an unfortunate side effect that kind of happened,
What scientific finding would change religious? I assume they mean religion?
None. Well, if scientific findings like evolution changed the Catholic Church, for instance, when the church had to accept evolution as being real and geological age and the Big Bang, none of that. It was a priest, a Jesuit, I want to say, who articulated the Big Bang. And the smart religion goes ahead and accepts that and kind of works it into their philosophy. But there'll always be fundamentalists out there who are going to deny scientific fact, and no discovery will change their minds about it. They're just indoctrinated and befuddled and stupid beyond saving. That's they want to believe so bad that anything that they see that threatens that belief, they're just going to deny it. And then start going the other way, saying that you need just as much faith. You need more faith to believe the Big Bang than you do to believe in God. What? No, no, you don't. There's evidence. We have evidence, right? We have fossils. Lewis Black, who did that.
Well, I don't know. I haven't seen it right now. It wouldn't surprise me. The Matt in the Hat wants to know what your favorite form of Satanism is.
My favorite form of Satanism?
Yeah.
I don't really have a preference. I don't think. I think that there's too much little dogma in the Church of Satan for me, so I guess I have to answer that it would be TST. But I think they have their issues too. They're not wrong when they say that they're kind of co-opting the philosophy of the other one for political gain. And I think that offends some people. Not me, because I hope they're able to do everything that they want to do. And eventually Christians will stop trying because they don't want to see Satan on the wall next to Jesus, which is what's going to happen everywhere as Satanism gains ground. People are joining all the time. I think they're going to have chaplains in the army because so many people are Satanists. So sooner or later, I feel like movements like that will will drive evangelical Christianity further into the hole, because they'll force them to rethink all of their stupid ideas, all of their incursions into government, all of their prayers and invocations before government meetings, before town council meetings, before Congress convenes. All of that stuff is unconstitutional and needs to go away. And so when the Satanists come in and do their satanic prayer, the Christians go, maybe we should just not have anybody do this, and then the problem's solved.
This is a great question by Dougie Tech.
Dougie Tech.
Why so easy to come to Jesus and not to science?
Because it doesn't take any thought. Science is hard. I didn't major in science because you see those kids in the lab until 4 a.m. on a Saturday. I was out, chasing women and smoking weed, drinking. I didn't want to be in school for forever. So, but all you have to do is go to church on Sunday and believe what the preacher tells you. There's not even a test. You don't have to take a test on the Bible to believe in Jesus. You just have to say you believe in Jesus, and woo, yeah. So it's just easy. It's just lazy fucking thinking, and lazy will always beat out hard work. Yeah, it's just human nature.
I think it's also a certainty issue. Like if you ask a scientist a question he doesn't know, he'll say I don't know.
Right.
If you ask a preacher, he'll be like it's God, or like he'll give you an answer,
right,
and seem like he's
right,
sure.
And that's comfortable with people.
Yeah,
you're right.
They want an answer.
They do.
With this, I can't remember if we answered this before. For you, which country would you live in the rest of your life?
The rest of my life, I haven't been to all of them to be able to choose wisely, but I would say that if I would stay in Hawaii, even though it's America. It's amazing there, and I could stay there forever. Even Puerto Rico. But I don't know. If I had to guess, maybe Holland. I miss the mountains if I was in Holland, though. The low countries, low on mountains.
Well, also, can you leave? Can you visit other countries, or are you stuck there? Is it
in Holland? Oh,
I mean,
that's part of the question?
Part of the question, yeah.
Yeah, I think you still get a Eurail pass and go see the rest of Europe if you live in Belgium.
This is it rhetorical? Is that the right term? Anyways, it's if there's a soul, where was it before we were born?
It was waiting to be gifted out. And if you watch that movie Soul, they just have a stockpile. I think they have an overstock of souls in a big room, and then when a baby's born, they pick one and throw it at them. So that's a good question. So and then another one that kind of proves that we don't have a soul really. And there's just no end to the souls, because the world is triple its population every couple of years. It's there's another billion people on the planet. So it's just make a soul. Every time, every sperm is sacred. Every time an egg is fertilized, and every time a zygote attaches itself to the wall of the uterus, there's another soul available for it. It's stupid.
The Matt in the Hat says, I just lost it, but he said, I'm in Holland, New York.
Yeah, that's right. He told us that before. There's a Holland, Michigan too. And they all grow bulbs. If your town's named Holland, I think they feel like they have to grow bulbs.
Flowers? Oh,
yeah.
Tulips.
Yeah, Holland, Michigan is a huge tulip grower.
Oh.
And obviously Holland, Michigan, founded by Dutch people at some point who just named it Holland.
Alley Cat 1121 says, do you I assume it says, does this guy have kids? Is my question.
Who? Me?
I assume you, yeah.
Yeah, I have kids. One of them kind of believes in God because all of her school friends believe in God, and she's afraid not to, I think. And one of them is just he's like me. He's come on, it's dumb. And I think my older one is a little bit of a hippie who kind of has a spiritual outlook on what God means.
Astonishing Toto asks.
Astonishing Toto. That sounds like one of those names that a cable company just gives you with your router.
They've been here a few times, right? Is that?
Have they?
I think so. I don't know if we've seen you in a while. I can't remember if you were.
Yeah, no, maybe you're right.
I know. I remember the name though.
Yeah. Now I do.
If Christianity was true, would you change?
If it was true, would I change? If there was some way that it was verified to be true, I don't know if that God would be worth worshiping. I guess I would believe that it was true if they showed evidence that it was true, but you'd still have to convince me that such a creature was worth worshiping. Anyone that craves worship like the Christian God and needs it from his people while he allows the kind of evil to exist in the world, yeah, I'd have to be convinced of more than just his existence to go ahead and like worship them, right? I don't know,
Well, the other issue is what, like, they can't even get their story straight. The Christianity, it's not like a one.
right,
It's so varied.
right. There's 1,000 billion different versions of Christianity, so which one is the actual? So if a guy came down and like laid down his doctrine, it's still they would need to convince me that there's a reason to worship them.
Astonishing Toto said it was a random meme generated. So
it was,
yeah,
pretty decent one.
What aspect of Christianity do you miss?
What aspect of it?
Yeah.
Almost none of it. Like I had a nice time in the church. It was like it was something to do on Sunday, and I saw my friends. And I was much the same as I am now, where I wanted to be the center of attention, and so when I went to church, I felt like I was there as a social creature. And I never wanted to be late. I wanted to be first in the door there to see who else was going to come. So I do. I mean, I missed the social life, I guess, of having a church community. But that was when I was a kid. I'm not sure I miss it actively as an adult. I'm just trying to think of like a good thing about it right now to talk about. But I don't go around today going, geez, I wish I had a potluck dinner at the church I could go to tonight to see my pals. And I'd rather sleep in on Sunday a little bit, at least as much as I can these days, than have to deal with that shit. So yeah,
So I should mention again, because we're getting a lot of questions in the comments again, to make sure that you use the question box. Otherwise, I'll have to just start missing those just because.
Yeah, your questions go by in the comments. We're not trying to ignore them. I wish we could get to everyone, but it's really hard when they're in the comments, and it just scrolls so fast. So if you got one that you really want answered, stick it in that questions and answers dialogue bubble.
And another weird thing is, the comments don't show up for everybody, so I can't tell if we're seeing all the comments. Like I've noticed some comments that are actually on the live through the Atheist Underground channel, like what we're talking through now, will show up, but they won't show up on the other where I'm watching on my account. So I don't know.
Really?
Yeah,
I don't know, because you got two phones. We got both phones going right now.
Yeah, and I'm logged in as
Atheist Animated.
Atheist Animated, yeah. And I've noticed that some of them don't show up. So if we put them in the question box, they should appear, and we can track them.
That's strange.
Oh, here, someone asked about that. Hi, who is the guy reading the questions?
That's producer Jay. He can't put his face on camera because he's horribly ugly. But,
disfigured.
Yeah, disfigured. Industrial accident. No, again, he's his income relies on him not being outed as an atheist because people might not use him, and he can't take that risk, and that's part of what we're fighting to the point where people don't have to fear that kind of prejudicial treatment. And it happens too often. People with corporate jobs risk losing their jobs or being ostracized to the point where they want to quit or being fired for some other reason, because they can't really fire you for being an atheist. That's against the law, but they find their ways to torture you in American society if you're not a conformist. And to be a good patriotic American in the minds of many of us and many of our countrymen is to be a Christian and a born again evangelical Christian who just doubles down on faith and loves Jesus. And there's many parts of the country where you're absolutely ostracized for doing that. And it's not so much his family as it is his source of income. And some people can't. We get commenters all the time who are like, I'm afraid to leave Christianity because my family will disown me. And that's just so sad. It's so sad. It's like being gay and being disowned by your family. What kind of Christian is that would do that? Even if you're an atheist and you don't believe in Christ, Christ would not disown you, right? That's do what Jesus would do just for once. Just one fucking time. I want Christian evangelicals in America to do what Jesus would do. None of them do. None of them care. They don't want to. They're not interested in that. They just want you to be like them, and they want the whole country to be like them. And for some reason, that will make them feel comfortable and good. I don't know. It's bizarre to me.
The Atheist Underground show got that email from a teacher in Texas, right? Is that a?
Yeah, there's a teacher in Texas whose child outed her by not wanting to say the pledge. I think it was his strong belief that he didn't want to say the pledge with the words under God in it, and it ended up outing his mother, who was a teacher in the district, as an atheist, and she got fired flat out for it. And when she tried to, take it to someone else or take it up the chain of command, or she was basically told, we love Jesus here, and if you don't, this is not the place for you. And she went to another district and got the same story. So there's parts of the country where this kind of behavior is protected by the establishment. It's protected by the establishment, and Texas is one of those. Ridiculously embarrassing to have Texas be part of our country. It's a sad, sad, sad fucking thing. And I know there's a lot of great people in Texas. I know I'm generalizing again, but Texas needs to fucking fix its shit, man. It's ugly down there. Ugly.
Favorite movie and TV show?
Favorite TV show right now? There's a lot. Maybe Ozark. That might be the best show on TV right now. What a great show. I love the Handmaid's Tale. I love Snowpiercer. I love a lot of the good TV that's going on these days. And my favorite movie will always be Blade Runner. But I got a lot of favorite movies too. Being There is a great one, of the Peter Sellers movie. And I'm a big cinemaphile, so it's hard to pin it down to one. But that's my go-to is Blade Runner.
James Sci-Fi Geek said, I scrolled past, but he basically said that he works at a Catholic school and he would be fired.
Really, from a Catholic school? I find that it's Catholics are generally more tolerant. I think as long as you're not wearing your atheism on your sleeve and trying to tell students that there is no God, because obviously that might get you in trouble. But I think if they found out you were an atheist and you were the gym teacher and it just didn't come up, I think you could probably get away with that in a lot of Catholic schools. So I'm sorry to hear that about you, but that's case in point, obviously.
Leaning to atheism from Christianity, any resource recommendations?
Yeah.
Converting.
Yeah.
Deconverting or whatever.
Go to recoveringfromreligion.com or .org. Look for that. That and that'll lead you to other resources. I think they can show you books and stuff to go to, but read everything you can if you're thinking about like you need more proof. I mean, I just trust your mind is really what I tell people. If you're trying to get out of Christianity because you have doubts, then just trust your doubts. You don't have to worry that you might be wrong about it. You're not wrong about it. It's just your indoctrination that's keeping you attached in some kind of way to Christianity. The other part is the the getting shunned by your family or getting outcast from your community. And again, it's horrible to have to say, but if that's really how your family feels, then you don't need them, and you're better off without them. And I hate to say that to people because nobody wants to not see their grandparents again or their mother and father again. But if they're really going to treat you like that for using your own mind, then I'm sorry, but you're better off without them. And just embrace your knowledge, embrace your own intuition and your own understanding of the universe, and don't worry about what if I'm wrong. That's irrational, and you shouldn't have to suffer under the weight of that indoctrination, because that's really all it is.
Keisha Hendricks asks, is any power of positive energy mistaken for prayer?
Any power of positive energy mistaken for prayer?
I assume it just means like any power positive. I think just like positive attitude mistaken for prayer.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of get what she's talking about. The difference between, I don't know what that means, mistaken for prayer, but I think positive energy in terms of, optimistic thinking and visualizing the things that you want for your life. I mean, I think there's nothing wrong with that, and there's probably some evidence to suggest that it's actually helpful, and it works. I don't know if there's anything metaphysical about it. There's no evidence that like you can think your way into things happening magically, but I think just in terms of self-help, meditation and visualizing good things and having positive thoughts. And I'm not smart enough to say that doesn't create a good energy in your life. I think it's the way to approach some things, as long as you also take action, right? And not just go to sleep every night thinking positive thoughts, because that kind of is like prayer. But prayer works in terms of making the prayer feel better, the prayer feel better. We know that it activates parts of your brain that calm you, that excite you, that much like certain drugs do. So in that way, prayer actually works. Obviously, it doesn't actually create change in our world, and it doesn't get answered. But the act of praying, or the act of meditating, the act of dancing, and or going through the other gyrations of faith, like speaking in tongues and singing. I mean, these things are known to have an actual chemical effect on the brain that can be positive. So I used to be like, prayer is useless. It's not useless completely. It helps the people who are praying, and that's they can image the brain and see that happening, and they can actually use electrodes to excite those parts of the brain and create the opposite effect. Right? People will see God in the room when neurologists excite certain parts of the brain. And to me, that's just more evidence that God is made up in your mind. If we can recreate the experience in a lab by exciting parts of your brain. And on one of the podcasts, we talked to a cat who knew about that, a neurologist and a psychologist, and he talked about those studies where people are doing that. And to me, if we can recreate it in a lab, that's pretty good evidence that God is a man-made concept right there, right?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to read in.
Sorry.
Listen, big thank you to Spit Farts for the fire. I don't know if that's the same as a gift. We still haven't figured that out completely.
Thanks for the fire, buddy. Yeah.
We actually have quite a few questions lined up, so I think what we'll do is I think we should try to do a lightning round to at the very least clear out, which might actually fill up the time. What do you want to go till noon?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay. So if you have a question, put it in the question box now, because we're going to do a lightning round, which means that we try to answer them in under, let's say, a minute and a half. So the normal length of a TikTok video. We're just going to go in order as TikTok gives them to us. So Spitfarts asked, if alien life was proven, would religion... Oops, hold on. If alien life was proven, would religion collapse?
No, I don't think so. A certain amount of religious people will just accept those as more of God's children. I think certain fundamental sects will collapse when they realize that we weren't special. That'll ruin some dogma, but not all religion.
And we talked about this. Catholics have already hedged their bets on that.
They've already sort of gotten ready to say that aliens are, if they show up, they're just more of God's children in the universe.
Favorite Norse or Greek myth, gods, and figures.
God, it's been so long since I actually looked at. I remember loving it when I was growing up. But come on, I'm a Loki guy.
Spitfarts was asked if he could duel with you. He should probably reach out, and we could make that happen.
Yeah, let's reach out to us, and we'll do that on a different time. We're going to wrap it up in a few minutes here.
Yeah, and just for people to know, we're going to be Dionysus is what he said. We're going to try to set up that duel with Atheist Troll on Friday. Hopefully everything goes smoothly.
On Friday, we're going to try to do a duet with Atheist Troll.
Duet, yeah. But yeah,
a duel. I thought you meant like a duel.
No, I think it is a duel live. Duel live.
Yeah, duel.
Like
is it? Yeah.
The phrasing's strange. Tell us something you live by, quote, etc.
I live by the train tracks.
Any words that you live by?
Any words that I live by? Not that I can think of.
I think we got this one twice, so I'll just say it a different way. Just favorite other myth or god. I think it was just the question came in twice about the favorite Greek Norse mythology.
I think I've mentioned it before, but I love the Hawaiian goddess of the volcano, who's their all powerful god, is obviously the volcano goddess, and she can detach her vagina and send it around on missions. That's my favorite.
Elijah Wood asked podcast recommendations.
Yeah, I don't listen to podcasts, honestly. Bill Burr, my girlfriend listens to Bill Burr, and it's pretty funny. And we know and love Seth Andrews at the Thinking Atheist, and he's been doing it so long that I think a lot of it like kind of leans into social and political stuff, because it's at some point it's like you run out of topics for an atheist podcast and all that. But the Cog Disc guys are great too. Cognitive Dissonance, that's a great podcast. So there's a couple for you besides ours.
Yeah, I was gonna say you could recommend the Atheist Underground.
Yeah, you can look for the Atheist Underground ones. It's been a while since I got one out because it's my busy season, but we're working on another one and it'll get there.
Real quick, it should be noted that our YouTube channel tends to be kind of similar to our TikTok channel, but the podcast is basically completely different.
Yeah, the podcast is completely different.
Why do you think religion made God narcissistic?
Because God is created in man's image, and man is basically narcissistic. How's that?
That's a good one. Should atheism be required in high school education?
I think world philosophy and world religion should be required so that people can compare and contrast. And atheism should obviously be part of that. And when people are educated to the fact that their religion they were indoctrinated into is not the only one, it'll be harder for them to hang on to their indoctrination.
This one got cut off, so we have to kind of guess. Doctor focusing on surgery and Christians take credit. Oh, yeah. Okay. So I assume it's like the Christians taking credit for medical things.
What's that about? I mean, another thing. It's like,
Thank God for...
Christians don't want you to play God in terms of assisted suicide. That's like playing God. But every time we create a medicine and solve a disease or cure a disease that used to kill us, we're playing God. So, human beings would be dead by the time you're 50, 55 in general, if it weren't for science and medicine and technology. And all of that is human ingenuity. None of it is due to Christianity, especially, and God in general.
And I want to apologize because she mentioned that there's character limits. That unfortunately that's.
Yeah, sorry about the question box is character limited, so that makes it tough. But it forces you to be succinct, my dear.
What is your version of what is your vision of dystopia and utopia? Dystopia and utopia.
Utopia would be a society where learning is the number one thing, and improving your mind and improving systems and protecting the natural world that we live in. That would be utopia, where no one suffers, no one goes hungry, and we all have our healthcare needs taken care of. Dystopia is what we're living through right now. I think we see it, and it's played out in spades on The Handmaid's Tale. Where a Christian minority takes over the country and creates legislation that all of us have to live by, when none of us, in fact, agree, or a few of us actually agree with the philosophy behind that dystopian vision of a totalitarian religious authority government. So it's pretty easy to answer. Dystopia for me is continued theocracy.
The Matt in the Hat asks thoughts on, I'm gonna mess this up, Fermi paradox. The Fermi paradox. I'm not sure.
What's the Fermi paradox?
Fermi.
Yeah, we know who Enrico Fermi was. When we visited the Fermi lab, it's not very far from here in Illinois. That's fascinating. We went down there to see it's shut down now, unfortunately. The big accelerator doesn't work anymore at the Fermi lab. They still do great work, and they send neutrons out across the world, and they catch them, and they have plates that catch them in different parts of the world, and they study, it's more about subatomic particles. They're working on that shit every day, and that's fascinating as hell. But I don't know what the Fermi paradox is. I'm not Mr. Science.
Have you ever spoken with a Freemason about belief?
Yeah, I think my old grandpappy was a Freemason, and he couldn't wait. He was so happy when he got his ring in the mail. But no, I don't even meet. I don't meet any Freemasons.
I used to be a Freemason.
You did?
Yeah.
What's that about?
It's just a fraternity that does good things, and I just dropped out because a bunch of old guys basically that would meet once a month. They had very few young. I was in my 20s. I would be like the
Yeah, that seems. And are there any like people of color involved? Isn't it seems to be like a white supremacist Christian organization that talks about doing good, but really is just like an old boys club.
I think it's. I mean, I don't know about the South. There was a lot of. At that time, I lived in a small town, so there wasn't a lot of black people, anyways, in the town.
Yeah.
But I know that the one in Racine has African Americans a part of it.
Okay.
But yeah, it's mostly.
I mean, secret, right? That's part of it. Is like supposed to be secretive.
Yeah, and most of like the ones I've talked to, they're all like, it is sort of secretive, but it's also like at this point,
like there's no big secret.
Yeah, and it's mostly just it's sort of basically. I think it made more sense back when people needed an excuse to like get out of the house. Husband needed to go to the Mason.
Yeah,
and it was sort of a way to socialize.
Yeah.
The only issue I have with it is you have to believe in a quote unquote higher power, but like when they sort of tell you about it, they're kind of like, yeah, that can be really anything. Like they don't.
Yeah.
Like.
I think back in the day it was attached more to like Presbyterianism or something.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
What do you both do for work?
I'm a horticulturist. We have a landscape company. I'm an ornamental horticulturist. Jay wants to talk about what he does.
Yeah, I do video. I guess I do video work, like I don't know, filmmaker. I guess is a good way to put it. So I do, but I also teach video production. So a little bit of both of those. Sorry, I'm trying to hit the bottom because I think they're the older ones. Where did you do your undergrad?
I have stalkers, so I don't talk about that because my college knows how to find me.
Yeah, and I don't talk. Yeah, same. Not that I have stalkers, but
yeah, I do, and I have threats too now on the channel.
Advice on raising kids without religion.
Just try to teach them, everything you can about world philosophy, and that the fact that everybody in their school might be a Christian doesn't mean that they have to be, and that their ideas of the nature of the universe are just as valid as anybody's. That's the best I can do for you. I tried to, and some people are like, you can't indoctrinate somebody into atheism. And I'm like, well, I kind of did, it's because there's no doctrine there, I guess is their point, that but that assumes that everybody is wise enough to teach their kid critical thinking and logic. And I was just kind of like such an activist and so militant at the time that I was just, my older daughter, I was just like, there is no God, there is no God. And she had to beat it into her head the same way that religious people do with Christianity. And I ended up suffering the backlash when she got to the age to rebel against Dad's ideas. You know what I mean? I don't think she's not a Christian, certainly, but she doesn't just take my word for it that there's no God. And I think part of that is my fault because I tried to make it like a certainty, when really you should approach it differently and tell your kids that no one knows certain things, and there's nothing wrong with that. And every culture and every person has their own idea of what God and religion is, and none of them are verifiable in any way, and so none of them are more valid than any of the other ones. And just teach them as much as you can, and let them make their own decisions when they get to be 16 or whenever they're old enough to form those thoughts for themselves. That's the best thing I can tell you for that.
All right. Spitz Farts points out that we have 2 minutes.
Yeah, we do have 2 minutes.
We're gonna try to lightning round these again. We've got quite a few questions in here. So this one, why European less religious than US?
Yeah, they accept science better, and they don't wear it on their sleeves as an identity politics thing. So it's not like a matter of pride. And they don't talk about it. And to me, their education systems are better.
Advice on family pushing religion on my son.
Yeah, that's tough. I would just stop. Tell them you're not going to bring them around anymore if they can't stop doing that. They need to respect your beliefs, and that's a tough one.
What do you think about antagonizing religious people?
I think it's fun. We antagonize them because they come on the channel and see the fun we make of religion, but I don't actively find religious people to antagonize. I don't think that's right. I'm a nice guy who wants to get along with people. But if they're getting out of line, I'll antagonize them back. It's one of those things. You get what you give. So if they're going to come to the door and try to convert me, they might get antagonized. But I don't purposely go pushing people's buttons.
Why are evangelicals so awful?
They just see it as an identity thing. You have to be this way in order to be a good Christian and a good American. And they take I don't know, they just take it too seriously and they don't really look into it. They're just, to me, they're poor thinkers. I don't know. I wish I could answer that better. They're just they listen to what the preacher says and they don't actually question anything. And then it just becomes this is what you have to do, or you're not as good a person or as good an American as me. I don't know. I wish I knew the answer to that.
Here's a couple comments that showed up in the Q box. Fun fact about Dan Barker: he used to control trains. And then Christians are pro-life, but not for healthcare and stuff. And then Crimson Tide asked, "Where can I get that? Where can I get that shirt?"
I get the shirt at Midwood Smokehouse in North Carolina. There's a couple of them in Charlotte, and I don't know if it's a bigger chain than that, but it's hella barbecue, my friend. And I just bought it off of their shelf because I saw it there, and I thought that was funny. So I bought it in the Bible Belt. This blasphemous T-shirt.
Another question, comment: Christians are pro-death penalty, but not, I assume, assisted suicide. I don't get this one. Brave New World is dystopia. Is Brave New World a book or a show that I'm not?
Brave New World, yeah, Aldous Huxley. You didn't have to read that in school. Come on, man.
No, we didn't have to. We read The Giver. What is your opinion on the Norse gods?
I love them. They make great Marvel movies. Yeah, no, I know people get mad because Marvel's kind of co-opted the Norse gods, but yeah, I mean, I think all of those pagan religions are at least much more interesting, and I like the idea that gods are attached to nature instead of just like a dying and rising sun god who sacrificed himself to save us from a sin that we never committed. I don't get any of that, man.
Okay, this one is I'm not gonna mispronounce it. Thoughts on Metatron's cube, religious versus geometry?
Too smart for me. I don't know what that is, buddy.
If you ever see the movie Pi, that's a good movie. I don't think it's related, but it's about math and God, but it's like a fictional thing. But it's a good movie.
No, I haven't seen that.
Book recommendations.
The God is Not Great by Hitchens.
What is your opinion on Buddhism?
Buddhism is cool as a philosophy. I think in general it makes more sense than Western religions and the Abrahamic faiths. But Buddhism has its own problems with the culture in the monasteries, as far as not taking care of young boys the way that they should, and extremism in Buddhism is ugly. I think that's part of the problem in Myanmar, isn't it? So yeah, fundamentalism is bad everywhere.
Have you seen Watchmen?
Yeah, I love Watchmen. I can't wait for the next season of Watchmen.
We got a couple more comments in here. Christianity took so much from pagans. A cult and religion is real. How much real estate? I'm not actually sure.
Yeah, I mean, Christians co-opted paganism just to make it easier for those people to be assimilated into the new faith after the countries got taken over. I think people misrepresent how Christianity stole pagan ideas for its own religious purposes. That's not really what happened, but they definitely co-opted pagan holidays, in an effort to make it easier for the people who were, supposed to subscribe to a new religion. So you can still celebrate, your Easter holiday. It's just it really means this, and it made it easier to assimilate those people into the new culture.
Last one: should teachers be able to refute religion?
Should teachers be able to refute religion? In the public school, they need to leave it alone, unless it's like an actual course in a higher grade about it. But no, teachers shouldn't be able to enforce. That's a personal thing, and as long as parents have the right to raise their kids in their religious traditions, which they do, I don't really love that, but you can't send kids home working against what parents are trying to do at home. So yeah, any more than teachers can enforce religion, they shouldn't be able to refute it either. They can educate in terms of bringing up questions so that kids question things, but they can't just actively refute it. I think that's not right.
So that's it. What's
That's it.
last words?
Last words. Hey man, check us out on all the other platforms, and we'll do our best to get more content out there. This TikTok's been taking up so much time, and thanks to you for all of that. And make sure you go to cafepress.com, Atheist Underground Gear, and get some Atheist Underground gear there. And don't forget to check us out on Wednesday when we go live again. Love you all. What else is there to say, man? Did I miss anything?
No. Sorry, I was.
That's all right. No, we appreciate everybody. Honestly, it's and thanks to everyone who like takes up the arguments with the creepy trolls that come on the videos, because I don't have time or patience for it, and I'm always really gratified at the people who defend us and go ahead and hammer back on those comments, because we just don't have time. And I'm sorry that I can't get to every compliment and comment on there. If we miss your comments on the videos, I truly, like, it gives me pain, because I wish I had time to get to everybody who takes the time to watch and comment. Thank you all. Love everybody.
Spitz Farts just gave us a bunch of things, presents, and then Alex. I missed the name, but Alex something gave us a bunch of.
Thank you guys. Thanks for all the presents. Thanks for all the likes, and thanks for your support. I'm doing the dance in my chair because I gotta go wee because I've been drinking tea and we've been going for an hour and a half. So thanks for joining us, Atheist Underground. It's Atheist Brunch on Sundays. We'll see you again Sunday at 10:30, Wednesday evening at 8 o'clock. All right. Love you all.
So we gotta give it 30 seconds or something like that.
30 seconds to the fade out. This cool down period. Get ready to get off of the YouTubes too. End stream. Bye bye.